What if you had the next world-changing business idea? Your business idea could change the trajectory of someone's life or impact the way people interact or have an impact on the environment or give people access to clean drinking water or create urban farming and give people more access to affordable real food. Whatever it is, you have this idea and it could change lives. But the reality for you is you don't have the resources to actually implement the idea. Maybe it's money or the support or the technology. You know your idea is gold and you know you can do it, but you just don't have what you need to actually get it done. What if there was someone or even a group of people or an organization who would come alongside you to help change the world? Welcome to Business with Purpose. I'm your host, Molly Stillman of stillbeingmolly.com, and this show's all about bringing you the stories behind the brands, companies, and small businesses that are changing the world. Each week, I interview an entrepreneur, a CEO, nonprofit director, community leader, or just an all-around amazing person who is trying to make a positive impact, not only through their personal life, but also with their professional career. My goal is to show you that no matter what you do for a living, you can make an impact right where you are. My guest this week is Kate Goodall, the co-founder and CEO of Halcyon House, one of the world's premier and honestly most unique business incubators I've ever come across. What they are doing to cultivate entrepreneurs from around the world in the social goods space is incredible. And if you've ever wondered what diving for shipwrecks and running a business have in common, then you're going to love this episode. So without further ado, on to my conversation with Kate. Hey, Kate, welcome to the show.
Hi, Molly. Pleasure to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. And we were just talking before we got started recording that we sort of switched places. You're in Washington, D.C., which is where I grew up, and I'm in North Carolina, which is where you went to school. So I like that we both kind of have like a regional connection to each other.
Yeah, we just flipped down Highway 95.
Yeah, exactly. In a lot of traffic. In a lot of traffic. So Kate, I really want to just dive right in. So I'm going to have you give us what I have all my guests do, and that is the Kate 101. So tell us your story, who you are, what is it you do, and all about what Halcyon House does.
Absolutely. So shall I start with me or Halcyon?
How about you start with you?
Okay. So my name's Kate Goodall, which a lot of people immediately say, oh, like Jane. To which I say, I am honored to be in the same class as Jane. And I wish I was related, but I don't think I am. But I was born in England in St. Albans, which is in a county called Hertfordshire, just north of London. And my father died when I was 3. And my mother remarried to an American when I was 14 and dragged me across the Atlantic. It all worked out for the best, but it was pretty jarring at the time.
Oh, I can imagine.
And so I went to high school in Alexandria, Virginia, not far from DC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then I went down to North Carolina for my undergrad and graduate school. Big humanist. I studied English and French and film in my undergrad, and then I went on to study maritime archaeology and history for my master's degree, and essentially spent 4 years diving on shipwrecks as a result.
What? That's awesome.
It was pretty great. Not as glamorous as you might think. The Great Lakes are pretty cold. Spent some time there.
Wow.
North Carolina is very dingy, and often, you're diving in zero visibility water.
Wow.
But it was amazing. And I always tell people who are curious how that sort of has any relative bearing on what I do now. It actually has really helped because you learn not to panic when you're diving, and when you're running an organization, it's a really useful skill set to flip back to. In a situation where you might otherwise panic, you really do start to use that muscle memory to sort of just remind yourself to breathe and take stock of the situation and take a break if you need to, and be thoughtful about your next steps. So it is. I think it has supremely relative bearing.
Yeah.
So then I moved back to Washington to become an assistant curator at the Naval Historical Center.
Wow.
Which is a lovely museum inside the Navy Yard here. And I worked at different museums and museum-related organizations until I met the incredible Dr. Sachiko Kuno, who was looking to grow the scope and impact of her foundation. Dr. Kuno is this amazing entrepreneur from Japan. She grew a biotech company, a couple of biotech companies from scratch, and was the first woman to graduate with a degree in biochemistry from Kyoto University.
Wow.
So she's a real believer in the power of human innovation and human creativity.
Yeah.
And together we took a property that she'd bought called Halcyon, and started to think about what it might look like as a place where the next generation of creatives and change makers could find sanctuary and really be able to think very big. And what would a program that does that look like? So we started to talk. This is where my story kind of intertwines with Halcyon.
Yeah.
We started to talk with organizations, obviously, that are experts in this space, like Echoing Green and Ashoka, and certainly the State Department and UN Foundation, and just to find out how we could be mindful and not recreate something that either didn't work or was already being done. And certainly an area that they all pointed to as a big gap was the fact that no one really does living. No one provides living space. And one thing that Halcyon has is many, many, many bedrooms.
Wow.
So in a very expensive city, we created a program where the best social entrepreneurs from around the world can come and live with us for free for 5 months. They get a stipend of $10,000. They get an excellent mentor in their field. They have a community of experts around them, but more importantly, people that can support them and cherish them. Because when you say things like, I'm going to innovate the foster care system, you're not immediately greeted with open arms. It's
right.
Usually skepticism first, right? So we really do create an environment where people can sort of feel the opposite of that, feel a little bit of hope and optimism about what they're trying to achieve. And they get a number of other resources. We have a wonderful partnership with Deloitte that gives them a lot of business capacity building support, the ability to maybe get some market research on the area of the world that they're trying to disrupt. Things that, at an early stage you couldn't possibly imagine being able to afford in terms of resource. And Arnold and Porter, which gives them legal representation to help them with negotiations and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's a very robust suite of supports that we give these entrepreneurs so that they can take a brilliant idea that they have and really start to scale it.
Yeah. So when you met Dr. Kuno, I mean, you were working in museums. And so when did this sort of, kind of transition happen for you where you left the museum space and entered into really more of an entrepreneurship and business leading and mentorship type role? I mean, I loved the analogy you said earlier about diving on shipwrecks is actually not that different from running a business. Like that is the best business analogy ever. But I'm just curious as to at what point did you really think, I think this is the direction I want to take?
Yeah, I think it's funny. The world we live in now really demands people specialized, doesn't it? It's whereas I'm personally am innately curious about so many things.
Me too.
And it's and I guess I think of myself more as a humanist. Like what I studied really ranged pretty widely, and I'm fascinated by the breadth of human experience and human problems, right? And our innate ability to solve for them as well. So even though my training was in museums, and I certainly sort of ran the gamut there as well, from curation to registrar work to fundraising and communications, it wasn't a very hard transition for me personally. And right. I think Dr. Kuno was someone who really just saw my curiosity and drive and I think she'd received a recommendation from one of my mentors that, I could make that kind of leap. So yeah. It was a wonderful opportunity to sort of I think, go after something that really allowed me to stretch to the full extent of my curiosity. I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
And now at Halcyon, we sort of similarly, we're not just focused on social entrepreneurship, we're really more focused on providing space and community and access for people who have creativity and compassion. And that doesn't necessarily just mean social entrepreneurs. We now have another program that is designed for artists who are working in social change and social justice. So they have a similar suite of supports, a place to live, a studio, etc. And there's something wonderful about being in the middle of this swirling mass of creativity and kindness.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurs and the artists really inspire each other and learn from each other. And I just don't know if sort of like shoving ourselves off into silos is really serving us all the time.
Yeah.
I recognize that sometimes it's very necessary, that you have to go deep. You have to sometimes spend your whole life dedicated to one topic to be able to really move the ball on it. But I think very often, and particularly in the 21st century, the need is actually for us to be able to synthesize a lot of information from a lot of different topics.
Absolutely. I love that you said that you just, you're more of, somebody who just has a lot of interest in a lot of different things. And that's me too. And it's funny. I don't think it was really till I got into my 30s that I realized that was actually an asset. And for so long, because I had originally gone to college, a musical theater major, and then I changed to English, and then I taught high school. And I've done, like, when I look back over the last 15 years, I think, like, man, I've done a lot of really different things. And at first, I remember for a long time, I was just in that mental space where I kept thinking I needed to focus and I needed to just do one thing because that was what the quote unquote, they say you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And instead, now it's all becoming so much more clear to me that all these different skill sets that I have and these interests that I have, like, they're beginning to merge. And I'm seeing, that's why I was interested in so many different things, because it's given me a unique skill set to be able to combine those interests into one thing. And, I'm able to use my love of fashion to talk about ethical fashion, because I'm really passionate about ending human trafficking and how does the fashion industry have an impact on human trafficking and all those types of things. Really in the end, they merge together, and I never would have thought that would have ever been something that I could do for a living, is talk about these things and talk about social entrepreneurship and talk about social justice and all those things that fire me up. And so I think it's really cool that you are able to take your different passions and really kind of hone it into Halcyon House and what you do now. And
and I think, we always, in the abstract, we always tell children, right, to just follow your dreams, right, do what you love, but it's so true though. If you can, it's hard to do, and certainly some people don't have the luxury even to do that, but it is, if you can do it, it's amazing to sort of just see how it coalesces over time into a very authentic thing. Yeah. But it is hard to see from the end when you're younger that it makes any kind of sense.
Absolutely. So we kind of touched on it a little bit, and we've kind of bounced around it a little bit. But I want to really dive deep into what Halcyon House does. So yes. It's a business incubator for creative social entrepreneurs from all around the world. But you guys really take like you said earlier, a unique approach. I mean, I love the fact that these people get to live with each other. I can't imagine what that does for just their support system, their ability to bounce ideas off of each other, all that kind of stuff. So really, I'd really love to kind of just, if somebody's like, what is a business incubator? What exactly does this mean? Can you kind of give us the sort of surface level explanation, but just really dive deep into what makes you guys unique? Yeah,
absolutely. I think that there's, when was it, sort of or plus years ago, there was a boom in terms of incubators and startups, and part of it driven by the recession and the fact that millennials really had to create jobs or they weren't going to have them.
Yes, exactly.
But also there was just definitely a lot, sort of like the sex appeal in the media around this sort of tech boom and the idea of an incubator. And so there's been a lot of explosion in that and in shared workspace. And now I think we're getting to the point that, it happens with the evolution of any domain or field where, you're now really starting to examine, okay, which ones are working really well and why, and what is it that they're doing that's perhaps different, that's giving them the edge. And we've seen, sort of some incubators shut down or emerge. And I think that, we're starting to see, leaders in certain areas. And we certainly think of ourselves as one of the leaders in social entrepreneurship, incubation. And I think our secret sauce that gives us kind of the edge in that is a few things. One, it is that we provide this unprecedented model for time and space. And I mean that in the literal sense, like they actually get free space so that they can not have to worry about paying rent or bills or anything like that. And that really does level the playing field in terms of who can consider this, because people forget sometimes that, people who don't necessarily have parents' basements they can live in and networks of investors in their back pocket, this isn't as easy a risk to take. But we really equalize that opportunity by providing living space and all of these other supports. But it also means headspace, right? Like after college, it's very difficult to just get the headspace to clear your brain and focus completely on this one great idea that you have, which is exactly what you need to do when you've hit on something like that. So that really, I think, is part of it. The other thing, and you kind of implied it when you were talking about the beauty of them being able to live together, it builds this amazing community. I mean, we refer to it a little cultishly as the Halcyon family, right? But you are, when you're here, you're part of a family, and not only do the entrepreneurs help each other by maybe writing a grant or reviewing another one's website or designing a prototype, but they, more importantly, really are there for each other emotionally. There are so many nasty analogies when you talk about entrepreneurship. People talk about staring into the abyss. They talk about chewing glass. They talk about all kinds of, really wonderful but daunting things. And it takes an awful lot of grit and determination, and you have to overcome some demons externally and internally to be successful, and to have a built-in community, not only of the people that are within the class that you enter here with, but the people who've come before you and the team that we've built at Halcyon, I think really does give people a considerable edge. And then lastly, we like to think that we provide access. So one of the great things about being in DC, and something else that I think is very special about Halcyon, is that in this city we can access policymakers and reach out to anyone in the world through the Embassy Network and the World Bank and others, and providing a clear pathway not only for our entrepreneurs to reach to those places, because many of them are not scaling businesses, ultimately they're scaling federal or global solutions, but also for them to reach back to the people that have the solutions that they need. This is a very special city for that. So, and then on top of that, we don't take equity. We really come at this from a philanthropic standpoint. Wow. So, I think, there's many models. There's some wonderful incubators around the world, and we think we're sort of emerging as one that has a very unique and important model.
Yeah. So I have sort of two follow-up questions to that. One, since you guys don't take any equity, which a lot of incubators do, how exactly do you guys, on the business side for you, how do you guys make it work?
Yeah, it's a good question, and one I get frequently. So we're lucky enough that Dr. Kuno, who's my co-founder, gives the buildings that we operate from, which is now two, one for the incubator and one for the arts lab, completely, out of the goodness of her heart.
Wow.
And then I raise money with my team here for to pay for the operations, which are not unconsiderable, but certainly it's Dr. Kuna's large donation makes this very, very possible. And then we have some very generous board members and corporate partners and foundations that we work with that really allow for the rest.
I know you are loving this conversation with Kate, and I wanted to just take a moment to thank our sponsor of the show, who is able to make this show possible, and that is CauseBox. You know by now my love for CauseBox. They are my favorite ethical quarterly subscription box, and I have been a member for over 2 years. CauseBox is curating the best products that do the most good. In each seasonal box, you'll find everything from accessories to home goods and jewelry to the best in skincare and wellness products. Not only are the products made by some of my favorite companies, oftentimes CauseBox actually collaborates with these companies to make exclusive products just for their seasonal box. These are limited edition products that you can't get anywhere else. The products are not just beautiful, they're also useful, and each box delivers amazing value with a guarantee of over $150 worth of products for just $54.95. Or if you use my gift code Molly, that's $39.95. And best of all, the impact of each CauseBox makes the whole membership even more worth it. Their upcoming spring box, for example, employed more than 600 artisans under fair trade conditions in India and Kenya. And this box put 100 young girls in India through school. I actually got a little sneak peek of the spring CauseBox, and oh my goodness, it's incredible. It's incredible. They really seem to outdo themselves every single season, and I cannot wait for this box to be released. To sign up, go to stillbeingmolly.com/CauseBox and use that coupon code Molly for $15 off. Now, back to my conversation with Kate. I would love, if you don't mind, and I don't know if there's like a good example that you can kind of share, I'd love for you to just kind of share an example of a business that you guys were able to really help get started and maybe, just kind of that success story of seeing the idea, working with them through the process and then kind of where they are now.
Oh my gosh, so many. Don't know where to start. So if I can do a couple,
yes, absolutely.
We've really sort of have a lot of fellows that have been very successful in the food space and the healthcare space. Certainly lots of other fields, but just by sort of hands-off selecting the best ideas and the most talented entrepreneurs, we seem to have ended up creating a little bit of a pool for those particular fields. And one that jumps immediately to mind is Uptop Acres, who are currently operating predominantly in the DMV area, but certainly have the potential to scale much more broadly. And they farm on top of buildings.
I have heard about this.
Yeah,
I think I saw a video about it on Facebook or Twitter or something like that.
I wouldn't be surprised, and they've just expanded, added a couple more acres, which is considerable when you think about acres on tops of buildings. But their big vision is that you could fly over the city and just see green.
That's amazing.
But the immediate, advantages are that, you prevent stormwater runoff, you lower utilities bills in buildings, and you create like fossil fuel free food because you're essentially just distributing it within the building to the residents and the restaurants and everything that exists there. So it's kind of it's actually a really big vision if you think about its potential for changing how we consume in cities. And they're going great guns. Similarly, Yoko Sen, who is the founder of Sen Sound, an incredible entrepreneur. She actually started as a musician I think she played with Thievery Corporation and others. She woke up in a hospital one day, and with a musician's ears, the cacophony of sound in the hospital, you can imagine, would be very difficult to listen to. And she did a little research and realized that, not only is it unpleasant to hear all of that beeping, but it actually really doesn't allow for patient recovery, and it's distracting for doctors. It doesn't do its job to alert them particularly well. And so she started doing some design thinking around improving positive sound in hospitals and eliminating detrimental sound, working with both the doctors and nurses and also the patients. And there's a lot of money to be made there because patient wellness and recovery time is exactly what hospitals and insurance companies sort of evaluate. So,
right.
So that's another, just another example that springs to mind. But we have, entrepreneurs helping veterans. We have entrepreneurs innovating foster care. We have entrepreneurs, tackling the problem of dying coral reefs, home care and Alzheimer's. I mean, it really runs the gamut. And, when we started, I think that was something that people questioned, like, how can you serve this wide range of topics? Here we go again on that generalist specialist thing, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out, Molly, that honestly, having such a diverse group of people really is an advantage because they're not competing against each other. So having, different fields in one class, is great because you don't have two sort of education companies going head to head for funding. And the other way that we're very diverse that I'm really proud of is we have 52% of our companies are founded or co-founded by women and 58% founded by a person of color, which is another way that, I think we're quite differentiated, certainly when you look at the majority of tech incubators. And that, I think, is also an advantage. We have a wide range of ages in our entrepreneurs, from 21 to 70 is our oldest entrepreneur.
That's awesome.
I know. And again, just really useful to have the mixture of sort of, youthful energy and more experienced patients.
Yeah.
They both have their strengths.
That is so incredible. I love those examples that you gave. They're just both incredibly unique, but really serve a special need. And there's just clearly so many gaps that a lot of these businesses and these ideas are filling. I think it's so awesome.
I agree. And I think, and you probably have heard this kind of thing before doing all of your podcasts on social entrepreneurship. But, I really think that when you look back over history, right, we have had many, many times when there has been this explosive growth like this right now, standing on the cusp of this 21st century, looking into the future and how, AI is potentially going to change everything. Yeah. And there's a lot of fear around that. And there's certainly a lot of wealth disparity. And at other times in history, we've had similar things. This is perhaps only unique in its sort of size and scope. But those other points, those other flashpoints in history have not always ended well, right?
Mm-hmm.
They often in a depression, maybe war. And I really do think that social enterprise could be the way for us to let the gas out of the balloon this one time, so that it is not an explosive ending, right? It's a way to both adjust for sort of economic pressure and also to create solutions for some of these big problems and some of this disparity that is causing so much strife. And it's still small and growing, but I do think that it could have the potential to prevent a more catastrophic historical flashpoint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I have to ask, what is, as the co-founder of this amazing organization, what is your vision? What is Dr. Kuno's vision as you guys, really look to adjust with the cultural changes? And like you said, there was this big boom in these incubators, back during the recession. And then now we're looking at, okay, what's really working? What is your vision for the next, kind of the immediate future, as well as, 2, 3, 5, 10 years from now?
Yeah, so we're dedicated to the power of human creativity and compassion to make the world a better place. That's really the essence of our mission. And I think that we're working really hard to make sure that we create a smoother pathway for that to happen at a time when that's kind of challenging. And I think our vision really is to grow to grow the number of people that are successful in using that as their value set to grow businesses, and to use that critical mass over time to prove that is possible, right? That it is, you do not have to just do well, you can also do good. I know that sounds trite, but gradually over time, one foot in front of the other, I think that's definitely the intent and the vision.
Yeah, absolutely. Kate, so this is the part of the show where, I've had just such a great conversation with you. But this is my personal favorite part of the show because it's where I get to just ask you a couple fun questions and get to know you a little bit better.
All right.
This is also the fun part of the show where my talented husband gets to insert his own sound effect to transition. And every week it's a surprise. I never know what he's going to come up with.
Saul makes 10. 10 ought to do it, don't you think? You think we need one more? You think we need one more? All right, we'll get one more.
If you could steal credit for any great piece of art, song, film, book, anything like that, which credit or which piece would you claim credit for?
Oh my gosh, I would play the role of Mary Poppins.
Oh, that's awesome. And of course, because you're British. I love it. No, but in all seriousness, I love Mary Poppins. I grew up watching it. And so to be Mary Poppins, yes, that'd be amazing. Would you let us hook up your recently played list on Spotify or Apple Music or whichever you use to the show? What would we hear?
Oh, I can go look. Hold on. I turned my phone off. I was diligent for you to make sure that we didn't get this interruption.
No worries.
It's pretty diverse, though. I don't know if I'll be able to turn it on in time, but it really ranges from, Beethoven to Beyonce to, gosh, I don't know.
But, hey, that tells me everything I need to know.
Alt J is on there. I don't know if you know Alt J.
I don't.
Yeah, no, it's a real mixture.
Beethoven to Beyonce. I'd say that's a pretty wide range. I love it because that's how I am too. Like I'll be jamming out in my car if I don't have my kids with me. But then if I'm working, like I really love to listen to movie scores. So, it really ranges for me too. Okay, what is one product you can't live without? It could be like a beauty product or a household product. Like, is there a particular product like you can't live without it?
Coffee. Would be the very immediate answer. I don't know what else. I like to think that I'm not very sort of materialistic or even very sort of a big consumer. I'm sure that I'm more than I think, but there's no real product other than coffee.
No, I think that's a good one. All right, so this last part is these are the lightning. These are my lightning round questions. So they're just either or. So you just tell me the first thing that either comes to mind or is of either one of those things.
This feels
being very articulate.
I'm a little nervous.
No, don't be nervous. All right, are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right.
Books or movies?
Movies.
Travel by plane or by car?
Plane.
Would you want to visit Italy or the Caribbean?
Italy.
Crushed ice or cubed ice?
Cubed.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Coffee or tea? I know this one.
Yes, there you go. Even though I'm English, I like both, but I'll take coffee.
Cake or pie?
Ooh, tough. Pie.
Pie. I like any particular type of pie.
I'm a big savory pie girl, so chicken pot pie is excellent, but I love all pie. So cherry pie, pecan pie, anything you want to give me.
We had chicken pot pie for dinner last night.
Oh, yum.
And ice cream or cookies?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. I love it. Kate, this was so much fun. And
this was so fun. Thank you, Molly, so much.
Yes, it was a pleasure. And I think what you guys are doing is so unique and so interesting. And I can't wait to continue to see the businesses that come out of your program. And I wanted to, before we go, I don't want to forget, you guys actually have applications that are open right now.
Yeah, so our application is open and for about another month, both for the Arts Lab and the incubator. And it's the incubator applications are twice a year. So if you miss this one, you can always look at the fall. And the Arts Lab is once a year. So that one's a little bit more pressing. But we love to get applications from all over the world. So if you have a great idea, that you're ready to make a serious move on, then I recommend you look into our application. Thank you, Molly.
Absolutely. And I will be sure to include the link to that application in the show notes. So if you're listening, and you're interested in applying to the program, you can find out that information in the show notes, as well as how to connect with Kate and Halcyon House and all of that. I just can't wait to continue to see how you guys grow.
Thank you so much.
I could have chatted with Kate for hours. She's one of those people that when you speak with her, you instantly feel like you've learned something and you feel challenged to take over the world. You know what I mean? She's incredible, and the work that Halcyon House is doing to empower creative and social entrepreneurs from around the world is amazing. Be sure to give Kate and Halcyon House some love on social media this week. I will have all of their links and information in the show notes. Another huge thank you to this week's podcast sponsor, CauseBox. Don't forget to go to stillbeingmolly.com/CauseBox and use that coupon code MOLLY for $15 off. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. If you are a first-time listener of the show, welcome. You can visit the archives of past shows featuring amazing entrepreneurs and business owners who are changing the world with their businesses. And if you are a regular listener, I can't thank you enough for your support. Be sure to head on over to iTunes, Radio Public, Stitcher, Overcast, or whatever podcasting app you like the best, and make sure you are subscribed to the show. Clicking that subscribe button helps to make sure you never miss a new episode. And while you are there, would you mind taking a moment to leave a review of the show? Leaving a review really does help to show me what you're liking and how the show is personally impacting you. This recent review on iTunes from Luke says, "Rarely do we try to truly explore how businesses come to be what they are, as we tend to focus primarily on their success. In her podcasts, Molly humanizes business founders by allowing them to share their stories of not just success, but also of vulnerability. And the fact that this podcast centers on businesses with a purpose makes it even more special. I enjoy it as a listener and a former guest." Thank you so much for that review, Luke. You are awesome. And if you share the show on social media, be sure to use the hashtag Business with Purpose Podcast or tag me at StillBeingMolly on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. This show is edited by my amazing husband and executive producer, John Stillman, and the music is by Mark Killian of Third Wheel Media. Thank you so much for listening. Now go do something good with purpose on purpose.